our mascot was a goat. I mean, we're the Grosbeck goats. I mean, I remember when I moved there, we moved from a school I moved from Magnolia out by Houston, and when we were the Bulldogs, and I remember getting to Grosbeck and looking at my father, and I'm like, did we really just go from a Bulldog to a goat, Dad? I mean, come on, how you gonna do me like that?
Welcome back to another great episode of the Vision Lab Podcast in partnership with Nexus Creative. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside with my partner, Mr. Ryan Mosley. The Vision Lab is the official growth mindset podcast for all visionaries worldwide, showing mad love to the cigar community. It's here in the lab where we focus on people's visions and dreams and how those dreams actually come into reality. Folks, it's all about tapping into and becoming the absolute best versions of ourselves. Self-discovery and self-examination. Mo, who do we have in the lab today?
As you've heard, his nickname is the GOAT. He is today's guest. Cuff is a native of Grosbeck, Texas. He is a co-owner of Linear Roofing. He has also recently been crowned the Classic Physique Champion at the IFBB Europa Dallas show. He is also an Arnold Sports athlete and an Olympia athlete. Please welcome Tony Taveras to the Vision Lab Podcast.
Yeah.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
First and foremost, big ups, congratulations. Shout out to you.
Yes, sir.
Cheers, salud,
Yeah. Big time winner. Now, is it a gold, or is it a trophy?
Yeah, I give you a medal.
We got the money, we got the trophy, we got a ring, we got it all. But it's just so neat, man. Because when we talked weeks ago, and I was telling you I was prepping for the show, and I told you, I said, I'm gonna go win this show.
This is facts. Let me interject for a quick second, because he said, okay, listen, because we're trying to schedule the interview, and he's like, okay, I compete on the 19th, which is our golf tournament.
Right.
Thanks for everybody that participated in our second annual Vision Lab Podcast Golf Classic.
All the sponsors, everybody. Greg Ellis, our celebrity host, thank you all so much.
And he was like, hey, we're going to do this on Monday, and I'm going to win. Literally, this is what he said. I'm going to win, and we'll do it on Monday, and we'll have a celebratory cigar.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I love how you, visualize and how you put it out there into the universe.
I think a lot of people, they're afraid to put themselves out there and say that they're going to do something, because they're not willing to do all the actions and things it's going to take to get the job done.
Yeah.
For me, I think differently. It's like I want to put myself out there, so I have no plan B, I have no plan C. It's win or die.
You know, it's very interesting that you say that, because, I don't know, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, I had heard, and I don't recall, and I apologize, that somebody said that if you have a goal, vision, or dream, tell everybody.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Hold you accountable.
Hold you 1,000% accountable, right? Yeah. And that's really what you did. Like, hey, I'm going to go win this thing on the 19th of June.
I couldn't cheat. The thing about bodybuilding that I love is you can't cheat the process, because you're going to be standing up there in front of thousands. Eventually millions are going to see the pictures, in the league. I mean, everyone that follows it, and it's like, you can't hide. Like, the results don't lie in the sport. And I love that, because if there was any day that I didn't want to go train, or I wanted to eat something that was off my plan, it's going to show, because I'm standing up there against other pros. So we're going through it. So it's like, it makes me 100% stay on course and on plan, and to be as disciplined as possible, because to me, if I'm off 1 or 2% and I cheat the process 1 or 2%, you can't stand up there on a stage in true confidence, like true genuine confidence, because you internally know you cheated 1 or 2%. That will show to the crowd. It'll show in something somewhere, and I believe that. So in this show, people were in awe at the fact that my confidence, swagger, presentation was second to none. It was an undisputed victory, and I gotta say that that's because I know I didn't cheat the process. I know I earned it, and I know I gave everything I had. I mean, there was days I was doing 3 a days. I was eating 1,100 calories. I was basically, my body was thinking it was killing itself. I was doing 3 a days of cardio and training. I mean, 3.5 hours of training on limited food, and I would be on cardio by myself, nobody looking, in the dark, with a hoodie on, envisioning the moment on stage receiving the trophy, envisioning bringing my daughter up on stage as I won, and literally tears rolling down my face as I'm doing cardio. That's as real as it gets. I'm doing cardio by myself and I'm crying. I'm crying because that's how bad that I wanted to win. And some people don't realize, in order to be successful and be the best at any field, you almost have to have this crazy obsessive thing about you. And when I hear Kobe, when I hear some of his interviews, and Jordan, it's like, I get it. Like, that's what it's going to take for me to rise and become the best champion that I could be in the world.
I fucking love everything that you just said. But I want to go back. I want to go back in time to Groesbeck, Texas. How much of an influence, because you're a former athlete, right? Like, let's talk about the transition to being from being an athlete into the world that you're living in now, as it relates to, bodybuilding. How much of an impact did that have?
It's so big. I mean, my dad was such a driving factor in this too, and me becoming who I am and my mentality. I mean, we butted heads a lot in high school. He was always trying to push me to be the most elite version of myself as a kid. Like I wanted to go to the pasture parties, right? I'm in a country town, want to be cool. Yeah, they going out cow tipping, they drinking beer at night, and I'm 16. I want to be in with the crowd. And my dad's like, something that always stuck with me. My dad said, it was like, son, you can play now. Most people will play now. They'll want to go party. They'll want to be with the in crowd, and they'll be paying for most of their life. They're playing in their teens, they're playing in their 20s, and they're actually paying between 30 and 60 and 70 and hurting, right? He said, if you pay right now, you become disciplined, you focus on school, you focus on becoming an elite athlete, you're going to be playing most of your life after that. And it was so true. Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, he would have me outside when I was playing basketball, doing 1,000 shots every day. Like, son, you're not turning on your video games until you do 1,000 shots a day. So it's like those kind of things that he instilled in me, that the shit ain't luck. It's like, you have to put in the work. The results don't lie. But yeah, I played ball in high school. I became an all-state athlete. I was recruited by Princeton and Harvard. My dad wanted me to go Ivy League. I was like, nah, I want to just play D1 football. I don't want to be so much into the books. I don't want to be considered a nerd at the time. I wanted to be cooler, right? I'm 17, 18 coming up, playing middle linebacker. It's like, I didn't want to go to Princeton. Okay. So I ended up making the decision and playing at North Texas right here in Dallas. Ended up coming on board with the Mean Green. And I was a monster in the weight room. I mean, that's where the love of the sport and bodybuilding and discipline and just the love of the weight room came about. And I remember I couldn't even lift with the linebackers. I had to lift with the defensive tackles and the defensive ends and the linemen, because I got that strong. I was that much of a hard worker. I was benching 500 something pounds in college, running a 4.6. So I was a monster.
What did you max out at?
The most I ever bench press is like 450 pounds.
So I did 405 as a receiver.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm impressed by you too.
That's
dude.
solid. That's solid. That's solid work, guys.
But you talking 500?
Yeah, I was doing 550, 545, 550.
See how humble he? I was doing 550.
I was doing some good stuff.
The most I ever benched is like 450 pounds. I think I squatted like maybe 475.
Yeah. So that's where the love came about. But my freshman redshirt year, I was projected to start. As I was moving up in college, I was projected to start the next year at middle linebacker. And my freshman redshirt year was like the second game of the season. I was running down on a kickoff. I was busting up the wedge. I was a heavy hitter. Their coach, I believe it was Navy. It was a Navy game. Their coach told their guy to cut me on the kickoff, which is illegal. I was running full speed. The guy came out of nowhere and just took my legs out. I flipped over, hip and pelvis came out of alignment, and I was done. I was having to see a specialist for about 3-4 months. I was having sharp pains up my pelvis. I couldn't sleep at night. And I was like, man, something is telling me it's time to walk away from the game, or else I'm not going to be able to play with my kids. So I left.
21 years old?
Yeah, 21 years old. And that was my love. I mean, my goal was to go to the NFL. My roommate, who was one of my best friends, his name is Craig Robertson. He's been in the league for the last 10 years. He plays with the Saints. He's the captain. So he was my roommate, and our goal was to go to the NFL together. And so I had to end up walking away from the game and trying to get back healthy. And it wasn't until years later, after I was in LA Fitness, I was a regional vice president with LA Fitness. So I was still in the fitness realm. I worked my way up in the fitness industry. I learned how to sell training. I became one of the best in the industry at it. And then I had an opportunity about 6-7 years later to do a bodybuilding competition, and found that passion and competitive arena that I needed, that I missed from football. It's like that arena, that camaraderie, that reason to get in the weight room and progress. I found that love in bodybuilding.
I want to go back to the moment where, not necessarily the moment, but like the point in time where you had to pivot.
Yeah.
And you realize that, hey, I've got this pelvic injury, I need to pivot. Can you walk us through the mentality that you have to say, I wanted to make it to the league. Here's a goal. Here's a vision. That's not going to happen. Now I need to pivot. Like, walk us through that pivot mentality.
Yeah, I mean, at the time I was only 21, so my mindset was not what it is now. It wasn't as strong, right? So to be honest with you, because it's full transparency, I tell it how it is. I was lost after I had that injury. I didn't know what to do, quite honestly. I was devastated. I was in the office with the coach. I was crying. I mean, this is a dream that I had from 10 years old that is being ripped from me, and I have no control over it because my body is telling me I got to walk away. So it wasn't a strong pivot, right? It wasn't like I know what I need to do. Really, I went off the deep end, right? I went into fraternities and I was partying, and I went down a dark realm at 21 years old. All I wanted to do was party in school, and it took away the reason to have discipline, because I had a reason that I needed to be disciplined and wake up every day and be consistent and have great habits, because I was going into an arena. When that arena was taken away from me, as a kid, I didn't know any better.
So how do we, for anybody that's listening to this or watching this, and if you like the content that you've heard thus far, go ahead and hit that like button and the subscribe button. We obviously, it helps with the algorithms. But for anybody that's kind of in that space, right? Yeah. They've been forced to pivot. And
well, there was a moment, because I'm getting to a moment here.
Okay.
So I was in that dark realm, partying. There was probably, I could have died at one point. I mean, it was bad, to the point where the turning point was my mom saw how bad I was. She was like, she wrote me a letter to college, and it said, "Son, I did not raise you to be this way.
Yes, sir.
We did not raise you to be this way." And when I read that message from my mom, I was like, all right, I got to turn the light switch on. I got to change this up. And that was the pivot point for me when my mom writes me a letter and says, this is not, you're not making us proud, right? So at that point, that's when I found LA Fitness. That's when I then left school. I had a semester and a half left of school. And I knew it wasn't for me. I wasn't focused on school. I was focused on partying. But when I got the opportunity at LA Fitness to run my own sport club, I then had purpose again. I then had a reason. I had something to go all in on. And I went all in at LA Fitness. I pivoted, so to speak, and turned my light switch on. And quickly, in about 90 days with LA Fitness, I became one of the top salesmen in the country. I got my own store. I became the youngest vice president in the country. Young and diverse, right? I'm Dominican. I was the only Dominican 24-year-old VP in LA Fitness, and became a regional at 26, and just worked my way up the ranks very, very fast.
Real quickly, how important is your heritage to who you are?
Extremely, extremely important. So both of my parents are Dominican. Okay. My dad is the light looking type of Dominican. He looks white. My mom, she looks like me. She's black, right? And they were just seen on the street. You think one was black, one was white. And so my dad always instilled in me from a young age, son, because you are
melanated.
You are what?
Melanated.
Yeah, melanated. Right, trying to think of the right terms here. You have to be that much better than everyone else. You can't be the same. He ingrained that into me early. You have to be that much better, because if you're the same, you might get passed up. So he ingrained the right things into me, not to say, woe is me, I have less opportunity. No, you actually have to be better. You have to speak better. You have to be more eloquent. You have to work harder to get that much further in life. And so my parents definitely instilled the right mentality in me, that you control your own destiny. I'm not one that believes anyone else around me controls my outcome. It's like the outcome of this show was in my hands. It wasn't in anyone else's hands, right? And I believe that there's power in that, knowing that there's not some people are like, oh, it's the weather's fault, or it's my boss's fault, or it's this person's fault of why I failed. I don't believe that. I believe you have full control. And if you assume responsibility for everything that happens to you, good and bad, then that's some powerful shit. Yeah. Because the universe isn't this thing that's throwing you around. You're actually controlling what happens to your story in the universe. And you're a powerful being at that point that can manifest greatness.
So before I ask you this next question, Cuff, allow me to say thank you to somebody who has supported this show from day one, and that's Edwina Brown and the family at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. EB, congratulations on the new location. You, Devontae, Jacoby, the whole entire staff there. Ladies and gentlemen, the address, the new location is 1604 North I-35E in Lancaster, Texas. That's 75134 is the zip code. If you're anywhere in the southern part of the Metroplex, make sure you get to Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. Top flight humidor, top flight staff. You will be taken care of the second you walk in the door.
Absolutely.
You're talking about the universe, and you're going to remember this, Cuff. Cuff and I sat in a meeting with a guy one time, and he said, hey, I like what you guys are doing. He said, but be prepared. He said, the universe is going to test you.
Yep.
He said, it's gonna pull you, it's going to stretch you. He said, it's going to try to squeeze you. He said, the universe is going to try to figure out if you really want to do what you guys say you want to do. Yeah. Do you believe in that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it's gonna test your ass. It tested me a lot over the last couple weeks. I mean, there's so many moments where innately it's like, no, I don't want to go to the gym. No, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and do cardio. No, I don't. I mean, there's points where me and my girl, like people don't realize at the last 4 weeks when you're getting ready for a pro show at this level, you don't even want to drive. Like it's a physical, your chemical imbalance. you don't have enough fat coming into your system to function correctly as a human being. You don't even want to pick up the phone and talk to people at times. You just don't, because you're trying to your body is physically trying to conserve every ounce of energy to do the workouts and the cardio that it needs to do, right? So there's times with like my girl, she knows that I still love you. I still care about you. I don't want to be with anybody else. And it's established. I'm like, I just don't want to talk. I just can't give my energy right now. And so it's crazy, because she will have to focus on our we have a 2.5-year-old beautiful daughter, and it's like it sucks, but I don't have the energy to be that father the last 4 weeks. She's got to step up and do most of those things.
But let me ask you this. So with your 2.5-year-old beautiful girl, and by the way, all of us are girl dads.
Absolutely.
I've got two girls. He's got a girl. You got a girl, right? They don't get that. They just see, the GOAT as daddy. How do you? And I hate the word balance. I'm learning throughout this show. Like,
there's no such
balance
thing.
there's really no such thing as juggling. But when you have that daddy hat on, how do you reserve your energy for your dream, because it's not her dream, and against you being daddy?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. The last 4 weeks, I'm reading the new book by Tim Grover, Winning. He wrote Relentless, and he talks about, I'm just 2 chapters in, but winning, you have to be selfish. I think about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, and as they're in the playoffs or the finals, they weren't spending a ton of time with their kids at the end. There's not this thing where you can balance it out. If you're going for a world title or to be a champion, you're going to have, like you said, some short-term sacrifice. So it's an understanding between me and my girl and the family that, okay, daddy's got to go win this show. The only way daddy's going to go win this show and build a legacy and continue to have abundant success coming our way is he's got to go into laser focus berserker mode to go take some heads off. And if that means I got to be apart from you guys more, we can't go have dinners, we can't go do more events, we got to say no to more people. Like, people were inviting us, oh, can we go to dinner? Can we do this? Can we do that? No, I can't.
Well, that, what's on the menu ain't part of your plan.
I can't go eat. I can't go drink. I don't have the energy to socialize. So, it's a different realm in that last 4 weeks to go become a champion. But, my girl was amazing, and she definitely supported me 100%. She was prepping for her own show as well. So it was like she was in prep, and her job was, I need to focus on our daughter. And it was beautiful, because I was in prep, focus on prep, but also running a multi-million-dollar company. So it just works so well. And, now after the show, now we get to go enjoy foods together and have more dates and those kind of things. Just for a little bit. About 3 weeks.
That's right.
So I'm curious, right? Because you've talked about it. Now you've opened the door. I got to walk through it. Can you describe the place you go to mentally when it gets to like those last 3 or 4 weeks? Like, who do you become in that last little runway till it's time for the show?
The Hulk. Hulk smash.
Right?
It's funny you asked me that question, because the people in my company, because we got about 120, 130 sales personnel, project managers. I run all of sales. They know the last 3 weeks, it's like they have a nickname for me. And the nickname changes. He becomes Axeman.
Oh, wow.
And you don't want to mess with me in the last, because my fuse is shorter, right? It's just naturally shorter. I'm quicker to maybe react or get upset or come down on someone. Unfortunately, just my fuse is there.
Which is interesting, because I met you before, like we talked about. I think it was 10 to 12 weeks before the show.
Yeah.
And it's.
I wasn't there yet.
You weren't there
I
yet.
knew I was gonna get there.
Yeah, but you were nice. You were conversational, and we had a great dialogue. But go ahead.
But then I get to the point where it's a little more straightforward, and there's not a lot of beating around the bush with me, and I'm gonna tell exactly how I feel at the end. But yeah, they call me Axeman. But it's like the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you go into a dark place. It's not a happy roses and sunshine and rainbow kind of place. It's dark. I mean, it's waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, doing 30 minutes of fasted cardio, doing training middle of the day, doing 10 o'clock nighttime cardio, and
How many hours do you sleep in a day when you get to that?
that's another
small 3 to 4
piece.
week window.
Because at the end, your body is so revved up, your metabolism's going so fast, you got so much in your system getting ready for this show that at night you can't even turn off your brain. Like there's sometimes I will lay in bed for hours and you won't be able to go to sleep. So you're so exhausted and your body's so tired, but your body internally is so revved up because you're trying to burn fat and you're taking supplements to burn fat. And there's nights I'll have 2 hours of sleep. So it is a mental battlefield at the end that you have to win every day. You have to win every day, and you have to take it one day at a time.
Where do you go, since we're in the competition phase, right? Mm-hmm. Where do you go? Because there is no mental escape. There's no true physical escape. But where do you go to gain some sense of balance in your life?
I do a lot of...
Let's use the word normals. Let's say normals.
I do a lot of massages at the end. Like there will be times where I'll probably do like 3 or 4 massages a week to reset my body, have an hour where I can try and relax my mind and just get my muscles worked on and body loosened up. So that's a place where it could calm me down and I have some solitude. But you definitely want as much alone time as you can have in the end. And so that's one of the things I go to. That and cryotherapy I do a lot of in the end. So it's like 3 minutes, super, super cold. Also a lot of cold showers and things like that. So there's little things that I do that I've learned over the years of competing that'll help me get through those last 3 to 4 weeks.
So he's got this shirt on that says Linear Roofing, right? Yeah. At the same time, anybody can meet him in person, look at him, and tell he's putting his work in the gym. But you just said it. You're in charge of sales of this entire company. How do you maintain that? Like every bodybuilder I've ever met, like they've got a ton of sponsors. Like that's their job. Like they wake up, go to the gym, eat a bunch of chicken breasts and white rice, go home, do like repeat. But you're running, like you said, a multi-million-dollar sales division. Yeah. How do you do that?
That's the big.
It should be eating brown rice though.
Well, whatever it is you're consuming on a day. But clearly you're doing your work.
And that's the big separator because a lot of pro bodybuilders, they are more training people or in a gym, and they're not having to work 12 hours a day at something else. So the best way I could describe how to do that is your daily routine. To me, your routine creates whatever success you're going to have. You can't be doing something different every single day, like be all over the place. You got to have a schedule, you got to have a regimen, you got to have priorities, you got to have tasks that you're knocking off. If I was sloppy with that, I wouldn't be able to do everything. I'd be all over the place, and my people would see that. So it's like I have to have things structured weekly to where every week my sales force knows every Friday we're doing new hire training. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 o'clock we have Zoom company training. Like I have things plugged in place that show my people that I'm regimented and disciplined, right? So every day I have my alarm that goes off at the same time. So it's not one day I get up at 6, the next day I get up at 10 o'clock whenever I feel like it. It's like I know I need to get up early every day and I need to be on my company, writing on my company messages and pronto and group chats, making sure everyone's engaged by 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. If I don't do that, then I'm not setting the tone for the company to be moving in the right direction.
When do you make your schedule for the week?
Yeah, that's a good question. I typically every Sunday is when I'm mapping out my week. Okay. And really, we have so many different things that go on with projects. I mean, there's days that we have 20, 25 installs of roofs going on in one day. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So I would say Sundays where I get a good I get a good view, basic view of what does my week look like? What does my schedule, my travel look like? Because we have multiple markets. We have Austin, San Antonio, Lubbock, Louisiana. Now we have Florida. We have Dallas. So we have a bunch of markets. So I get the broad overview, but nightly, I do believe that we should, if you're going to be successful, every night you should be looking at your next day and saying, what are my top priorities that I got to knock off? And I've simply, for the last couple of years, I just use my notes on my phone. And at nighttime before I go to bed, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what has come up today that is now jumped up in my priority list? And I'm writing my top 20 things for the next day that I need to get done. That way I can measure it. What gets measured gets improved.
Oh,
so at the end of the
say it again. I'm writing that down in the book right now.
What gets measured gets improved.
All right, let's
so
write
it's
that
like,
down. Write that, put it in the book, huh?
At the end of the day, I need to be able to see out of my 20 tasks, and I just do a little simple emoji like a green check mark. Once I do that one task, I put a green check mark. Once I do the next task, green check mark. Then I could legitimately look at the day, at the end of the day, and say, did I really get shit done? Don't lie to yourself. And I look at it and say, okay, I got 19 out of my 20 things done that I want to get done. I'm going to move this one to tomorrow. But that's where you can measure it and get wins, because it's all about small wins are adding up into the big picture and winning the whole month, which wins the year.
I absolutely love what you're saying, and there's a common denominator that stands in the midst of both of you and I. I read a book called The G Code by Ryan Stewman. It is monumental. It's a game changer. It simplifies everybody's day into really 4 categories, right? And so what you're talking about is what I look at, and I do it a little bit differently. I look at my day at the end of the day, right? And I talk about the things that I'm grateful for. Yep. Talk about my wins. Talk about who I had a relationship with on that day, and then I talk about what I've actually learned, from the full day. As we share this common person, how much has Ryan Stewman imparted in your life?
Oh, he's been great. Yeah, I joined Apex Executives at the beginning of this year, and I think it's phenomenal to be a part of groups where you walk in and everyone's pushing themselves for more. It's like, I think it's human nature a lot of times as people start even getting money in their bank account. They start winning. They start making more money. A lot of times human nature is they start looking at their bank account and saying that they're okay. And they get comfortable and they get complacent and they stop hustling and their hunger goes away. And so you see people win at a high level and they go like this and all of a sudden they taper off. I mean, to me, it's you're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Yes.
Your habits are either getting better or worse. So if you start getting complacent and counting your money, you're really going to get sloppier. So I believe it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank account. It doesn't matter how many wins are behind me. It doesn't matter that I just won a pro show. It's about what am I going to do next? I mean, I'll never forget the interview Kobe Bryant did where they were up 2-0 in the finals. And the interviewer asked him, he's like, why do you look so mad? Why aren't you happy? And he's like, the job's not finished. I mean, it's not done, right? I'm not done. I'm not dead. I got so much more in the tank to give. So it's like, if you just go about it, how can I be the best version of myself today? What kind of wins can I add to my plate today? And don't settle on what you've done in the past or settle on what's in your bank account. Then you'll keep growing, because life is about constant growth and what you can keep achieving.
Cuff, one of the brands who is growing, and they've grown with us, and we love being in partnership with them, and that's the good folks at Class A Vodka. Crystal and Tim, thank you guys so much. Visionaries, if you have not gotten your hands on a glass of Class A Vodka, the slogan is class in every glass. We promise you we stand on it for a reason. Get your hands on a bottle of Class A Vodka. Send them a DM. They will make sure you're taken care of. The Instagram handle is at Class A with a K. That's KLASE. Is that correct?
That's absolutely.
Class A vodka. Get your hands on a bottle of it immediately.
What does failure look like to Tony Taveras?
Or do you even believe in the concept of failure?
Well, you have to because you're a bodybuilder.
This is true.
Yeah, I mean, haven't won every competition, right? I think there's definitely lessons. I mean, I'm not going to win every competition moving forward. It's just not going to happen, right? So I think those losses that I even had, as long as you're looking at them like, okay, how do I get better? Where are the opportunity gaps? It's not a negative thing. It actually made me stronger.
Okay. For those that are watching or listening, that sounds beautiful. It sounds scripted. Give us the real fucking shit. Yeah. You know, obviously you won a couple of weeks ago. If you lost that, like you said, I'm not going to win every...
Because I have lost, right? So let's just go back to my first national show ever, which was my third show. This was, it was my second show. I started in bodybuilding. I come out hot. First show locally. I'm all natural. I win it. I weigh in at 191 pounds. I win the whole thing, the whole damn show, right? Drop the mic on the stage. People are going crazy. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go to nationals. I go to nationals, and I completely bomb it. I mean, I mess up so bad, guys. I get on that stage. Me and my coaches messed up my peak to where there's a lot that goes into it that last week. If you time the water depletion incorrectly and you don't load up your food right, you will look the worst that you've looked all prep. You're dehydrated, your water's down, your food is low, and now you can't even pump your muscles up before you get on stage, and you're flat as a pancake. And that's what happened to me. We mistimed everything. I thought I was going on stage at 12 o'clock. I ended up going on stage at like 3:30, and we didn't end up eating enough. And I remember before I got on stage, nothing was coming alive. I was dead. My energy was dead. Air was out of the balloon. And I walked on stage, and you can physically see it. I was angry. I had no smile. I was drained. I looked pissed off. And it showed. I ended up not even getting first call-outs. I got sixth in my first national show. And the reason why I say that's as real as it gets, I was devastated. I failed, right? I failed in the moment. I was devastated, and I was looking for all the reasons. How did this happen? But then as things calmed down and 24 hours passed after the show, it was like, what did we mess up that we could control, that we can control? What can we come back and do better? Where do we need to make improvements? It was all about improvements. It wasn't a, woe is me, I'm a victim. It switched quickly. I got with my coaches. We looked each other in the eyes and we said, where did we fuck up? Man to man, where did we fuck up? And we looked at each other because I was mad at him. I was like, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you do this? But then eventually it was like, okay, no, we're a team. Let's come man to man and let's talk about this. And let's figure out how do we come back stronger. And I wouldn't be here today if we didn't have that mentality coming off failure. Failure in the moment, but having a winner's mentality to look at it and say, this is going to be the reason that I'm going to become a champion. After that show, we went back to the drawing board, and 9 months later, I ended up winning the overall at Universe in New Jersey, Universe Nationals. In my third show, won the overall for the whole thing. These were all top guys that won local shows around the world, around the country. And I won the overall there in Classic to turn pro, to turn professional. And so, after that, I ended up, doing my first two pro shows. Ended up doing really well last year. Ended up beating some Olympians, but ended up losing to two top 10 Olympians in the world. They were great. They were Class A competitors. It was my rookie year. So some would say, okay, he failed because he didn't get first, but I had great performances. But I learned from them. I learned from those losses. So I lost my last two pro shows before this really? Past one. I lost a loss, but it wasn't.
It's a learning lesson, which is what Mo and I always talk about. It's learning, right? But that's super interesting because when I talk to you, as we were scheduling this, you're like, hey, we're gonna win this on June 19th or whatever the date was, and it was like you had been there and done that before.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go into my back cave. I gotta do what I gotta do.
We'll see you guys in a few weeks.
But I'm gonna win this thing. Don't worry about it. And I was like, I remember looking at your Instagram feed and thinking like, fuck, please God, let him have won this thing.
Let him win this thing. Because if he comes in, he gonna be mad.
Yeah, I don't want him mad. I want to have a celebratory cigar with him and all this other stuff. But man, that it's
because I knew based on the information I gained from the loss, right? From the caliber of people that I lost to, that I knew as long as we made the right improvements and did the work, which I knew I did the work, that's as real as it can get. I knew from when I stepped off those stages 9 months ago, I put in the right work to make the improvements that I felt no one should be able to stand with me if I bring my best.
But how can you say that when I don't know how many people are competing against you? And I've got a buddy that I've known for 10 plus years that's a bodybuilder, and he's really starting to make some headway in the space. But I mean, everybody is sacrificing, right? Just like in life, right? Like everybody's sacrificing, everybody's giving it, quote unquote, all they got.
It's understanding the field too.
Okay.
So I studied my opponents, right? So I knew who was coming into this show. So looking at the field, it's different than the field that I'm going against next. The next two shows that I'm in are the two top shows in the world. So it'd be like you're going from college football playoffs, and now you're going to the NBA playoffs. You're with the All-Stars. So it's a different playing field. I saw the field of competition I was going against, and I knew based on what I had and they had, as long as I took care of everything and checked off all the boxes, I would win. But I had to do the action. I had to handle business. If I wouldn't have put in the work, I would have lost. I would have definitely got beat, right? I could have easily messed this thing up, but I wasn't going to do that. So that's why I was confident. I was so confident. Kid you not, I bought a Hummer limo to be right there at the convention center right after the show. It was already there. It was waiting. The Hummer limo was waiting on us. I had Nick and Sam's restaurant, private room, rented out. A minimum of $10,000 charge on the room for 65 people after the show. I don't know how else I could have went into it and given less than 100%. When I'm putting myself out there that much, putting that much on the table, it is win or die. There is no plan B, there's no plan C, and there's so much power in that because I wasn't going to allow myself to have any gaps.
You ever read the book, The Art of War?
I'm very familiar with it.
He's put himself on death ground.
Yeah.
It's either, like I said at the very beginning, like it's truly do or die. And the whole concept of death ground basically is like if you're the leader of the army or, battalion, whatever, you put them in a situation, explain to them like, look, either we're going to accomplish this mission or we're all dead. And that's what he's doing to himself.
And it's like, what are you going to do at that point? Like, you're going to figure it out. Yeah. You're going to find a way to win.
And he's done his work. Because internally he knows he's done his work. So he's got the confidence. But at the same time, you've also said to where there are no excuses. And I would imagine that's in your day-to-day as well as far as running linear roofing. Yeah. There's only so many things your sales staff is going to be able to tell you, like, hey, Tony, we didn't get this done because of this.
Yeah.
I imagine
it's hard for them to come at me with excuses when they see what I've done.
Exactly.
Very hard. So it's like, it's bigger than bodybuilding. It's so much bigger than just bodybuilding and building muscles. It's to what you're saying right now. It's the mentality that I'm giving to my salespeople, where they're like, this guy is working 10, 12 hours a day in a company, but he's also putting 3-4 hours a day in the gym and cardio and training, going and becoming an Arnold athlete and an Olympian athlete. what's our excuse saying that we can't go get customers and we can't go help customers and get roofs?
And by the way, he's got a family.
Yeah, so it's like they can't come at me with excuses. I'm like, no. Your numbers in production are showing that you're not working very hard, right? So it's like the culture from our leadership group at the top breeds other winners.
I want you to talk about how to develop this mental strength to those that are looking to transition into fulfilling their own lifelong dreams, or really becoming the best versions of themselves, right? Like, we know that discipline has to be a main cog in the wheel, right? The mental fortitude has to be another main cog in the wheel. But how is someone that may have fallen on hard times, or someone that's looking to transition into a specific role or dream in their life, like, what are you telling them to do to get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question they really have to be able to answer for themselves is, what do they really want in their life, though? It's like, what do they really want? What is their purpose? What is their why? What is their driving force? I can't make someone want to go make $250,000 a year if that's not what they want to do, right? What is the perfect life for them look like? First off, they got to know where they want to get to. I can't force that upon them. So they truly have to be able to answer that question for themselves, because what could be a perfect life for me could be something that someone else doesn't want at all, right? So I think first it comes down to, what do you want, right, in your life? Let's talk about that. Let's get that on paper. Is it that you want to create financial freedom to where you have options and you don't have to worry about money? Is it, I don't want my kids to have to worry about it. I don't want my wife to have to work anymore. It's like, as long as you have a driving factor and a why that's pushing you. Like, for me, I got a 2.5-year-old daughter that's looking up to daddy now. Like, she's going to see everything that I'm doing at this point. I'm instilling everything that me and my girl are doing now. She's watching. Like, that's a big deal. We're in a fishbowl. Whether it be our kids, whether it be, people that are watching us and as leaders of men, we're in a fishbowl and they're watching us. So I take it very serious. But yeah, I think it comes down to their why. Let's uncover their why, get their purpose, and then that'll get them up every day. And then they'll start creating some good habits.
Love that. What is your why?
My daughter. I think my daughter's one, right? What I just talked about. But I think on the other end of things, it's, and I think it's weird to think about little things like this, but it's like, I'm my parents' only child. I'm my parents' only child together. And it's a weird thing for me. It's like, okay, my dad has 2 children. I got 2 brothers from a different mom, right? But I'm my parents' only child. For me, I'm the only combination of their DNA, so to speak. That's how I think. That's how I think. It's like, I am their DNA combined. I take pride in that. I take pride in being their only child. Like, I want to make them super proud to say our combination made this. Like, our son is raising the fucking bar. And they flew in for the show from Puerto Rico. They were there at the show. They're in Puerto Rico. They're Dominican, but they live in Puerto Rico. They run businesses out of there. But they were at the show, and this is what I feel about manifestation. I envisioned so many things at the end of this show, of winning this show. One of them being, I wanted to be able to call on my parents and thank them. I got the trophy, I got the award, and I had my parents stand up in front of thousands and explained I wouldn't be the man I am without the discipline and the things that they instilled in me. And they stood up. My mom's crying, But I already saw that moment. I had saw that moment months before it happened. And then I created it and put it into reality. I saw the moment of my daughter coming up on stage and me telling my daughter to hit a flex. And I pulled her up on stage after I won the trophy, stopped the whole show, said, "Where's my daughter? Is she awake?" Got her on the stage and hit a flex with her. And it became reality. And I had a high five with her. I got pictures with her on the stage winning. And that, to me, man, when you're able to envision something months before and then make it happen like that, it is powerful because you want to keep doing it. You know that you can keep doing it over and over and over. That's a scary thing. And it's scary for those other competitors because I know I know how powerful that I can be with manifestation now.
In the midst of all this, what he's talking about is being supported by a group of people. Like his backbone, his girl, his daughter, his parents, I'm sure the staff at Linear Roofing.
Absolutely, they were 100 deep at the show, screaming.
One of the groups that has supported us for a long time now is Dallas Leaf LLC, Cuff. Whether it's cigars, entertainment, charity events, whatever it might be, give it to folks at Dallas Leaf LLC. The website is DallasLeafLLC.com. The Instagram handle is at Dallas Leaf LLC. Reach out to them. We promise you won't be disappointed. Tony's talking about strength in numbers. When they get involved, strength in numbers is what it's all about. And as I said, support is free. So thank you to the good folks at Dallas Leaf LLC. We appreciate all the support.
As we talk about support, where do you garner? Let me rephrase that. Mentorship has been a big deal for you, right? Where do you go to seek counsel?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. So, when my parents, when I left my parents in essence and went to college, that torch was kind of taken away from them because I was hours away. They moved to Puerto Rico, so it's like they were my mentors early, and then I didn't really have that mentor when I went into that dark zone in college. But one of my partners now at Linear Roofing, I've been with since I started at LA Fitness, and that's Kurt Lennington, and that's a majority partner in Linear Roofing. He's a great friend of mine. I've been working with him for 12, 13 years. He actually did my first interview at LA Fitness and hired me at 21 years old. I've been with him for 13 years. That's loyalty. Haven't left him. People don't understand loyalty.
Priceless.
You got to be able to stay the course. Like, so many people are jumping around from thing to thing and they're backstabbing people. So me and him have worked together for 13 years, and that's why we've been able to create something so special at Linear Roofing, because it does stem from being a family and being loyal and being trustworthy and pushing each other to our most elite versions of ourselves. So we were both at LA Fitness for many years. He was a top executive, and then we created this company outside of LA Fitness, and now we've grown it to, this year we're projecting over 100 million, and next year we're going to be projecting probably about $250 million. So we've doubled our numbers every year. This year we're looking at tripling our numbers, and we're going to have many great opportunities coming our way, for expansion. So he's a mentor to me. He's been a mentor to me for many years, instilled a lot of great things, and I'm very happy to have him as a great partner and mentor and brother.
Absolutely.
Have we reached that time of the interview yet?
I think so.
So as we wrap up the show, the name of this segment is called Land the Plane. It is brought to you by the good folks at Grand Brulot. Shout out to Francisco Tonarelli, the owner. Thank you, sir, so much for your time a few weeks ago. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Jameson and Lovers Team, everybody involved in this partnership. Big things to come in the future with the Vision Lab podcast and Grand Brulot. One of the questions we ask everybody on the show, it's you, Tony, and there's a round table. There are 5 other seats at that table. You get to have anybody you want at that table. The only stipulation or caveat, if you will, is that you can't have whatever religious higher power you believe in. Outside of that, dead or alive, who do you want your table?
Table is doing what? What are we doing?
Whatever you want to do is your table.
We can make it a small little gym where everybody's lifting.
Yeah, however you want to set it up.
Make it.
Yeah, I would probably say I would have.
How about this? The 5 people you'd share a gym with.
Yeah, I would have both at a table. I would have both of my parents. I would have Kobe Bryant, being able to sit with him. I mean, he was just his mentality, the Mamba mentality. I've pulled so much from, thinking about even just, I was devastated when I found out he passed. I mean, he was one of my idols growing up. I mean, just his killer instinct and will to win. I mean, you just never saw that guy have a moment of like weakness to where he wasn't competing at the highest level, no matter what was going on. Same with Jordan, same type of mentality. So, a guy like Kobe, Jordan, I'd love to be able to sit with.
One more.
Will Smith. I love Will Smith.
You want the laughter?
Will Smith. I'll never forget an interview that I saw him doing. It's on YouTube. It's a motivational mashup of a bunch of different things. Pursuit of Happiness was obviously amazing, but it's clips of him talking about the secrets to success, and you can look it up on YouTube. Man, it's like 10 minutes, and he talks about the universe. He talks about the power, and he talks about all these things that I've actually pulled from. He talks about not having a plan B and plan C. It's where I get a lot of the things that I think about is Will Smith. And I saw him in these interviews, and I was like, this guy is classy. This guy is professional. This guy is doing so much, from acting to music, so well-rounded and multi-talented. I love that. And so I don't want to just be great at one thing. I don't just want to be great at running a business. I want to also be a world champion. I also want to inspire millions. So Will Smith is definitely a guy that I look up to in that aspect. So Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and I'd want to have my parents right there to be able to experience it with me.
Very, very, very solid list. That'd be a hell of a dinner, or whatever it is, right? Real quickly, for the people that are tuning in on YouTube, as well as listening to us through the airwaves, how can they get a hold of Tony Taveras? Yeah.
So you can get me on Facebook, Tony Taveras. You'll see my Facebook on there. You'll probably see a picture of me bodybuilding and me and my daughter and my girl on my cover. But on my Instagram is where I do a lot of the bodybuilding stuff. You'll be able to follow my journey as I get ready for the Arnold, get ready for the Olympia. And that's Tony, Tony, GOAT, GOAT _Taveras. Tony GOAT _Taveras. That's my IG. And then you can also follow our company, www.linearroofing.com, and we also have a Facebook page. But you'll see we're just a different type of company. Where one of the slogans that we use is we're just not the same. We're not trying to be like everyone else in the roofing industry. We only had 2 or 3 guys in our whole company that come from roofing. Most everyone else comes from fitness or military, and we train them on how we want them to go about the process of taking care of homeowners, coaching them through the insurance claims process. So, you'll see we have a lot of fun. We have a competitive environment. So look us up on both those ends, and you'll be able to follow me and our progress as we keep paving the way.
And then you got the show in, is it Jersey?
Show is the Arnold is going to be in Ohio. The Arnold Classic. Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be front row. It's his show. So he special invites the athletes. I mean, it's a big deal in the industry, and he'll be front row watching me perform and hitting many of his poses right in front of him. And my parents are going to be right there by Arnold. It's going to be pretty freaking cool. And 2 weeks later, we go to the Olympia, which is the biggest show on earth. So, I got to go into the Arnold. The goal is to go into the Arnold. These are obviously 10 of the best in the world. So if I can go into the Arnold, battle for the title, get top 3, that's a big deal, because at that point you're one of the best in the world. You go win that show before the Olympia, you're set up for you're set up for greatness. I mean, things have already changed big. Just to be in both is a big deal in my second year as a pro. So we're on the right path, and we're going to become a world champion.
Well, we're claiming victory.
Come on now.
Right now here in the lab.
Yeah. I just have one request though. When you go ahead and win that, and you book out Nick and Sam's, just make sure we on the list.
Yeah.
I got you, dog.
We need the invite.
I got you, man. You invited next time, man. We know each other now. We good.
Right, cool.
Yeah. As we land this plane, there's a couple of questions that we ask to every guest that jumps into the lab. Yeah. One of the questions I really want to ask you though is, if Tony Taveras was a book, what would be the title of your book?
I would say No Plan B.
No Plan B.
Yeah, I would say No Plan B.
Might be the title of the episode.
I like that.
No Plan B.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
No Plan B. That's just how I live. I try and go all in on anybody that knows me. They'll think I'm an extremist. You know, one of the books that I've had everybody I've hired into the company read before we officially bring them on is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Great book.
It's just the mentality that it creates for someone going into a new industry is incredible, because it's like a 12-year-old could understand it. He breaks it down and makes it so simple. A lot of people make this thing harder than it really is.
But don't just read it though. Do it.
Yeah, do it. Do it. And I test them out. I actually test them out before we hire them. They have to show me that they understood the book, they understand the principles. We talk about the chapters, because I want them to know, why do we think the way that we think as a leadership group in our company? And I want them to be set up for success. Like, because it all starts up here mentally. It doesn't matter what kind of scripts I give them, what kind of play I give them, if they're not right here in the head. So I think that book is really, really good to set your goals higher, follow it up with massive action, dominating your sector, talks about personal accountability, burning the boats. I mean, there's so many good chapters in that book. I highly recommend that for anyone listening. Go get the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, because it's changed my life, and I'm 10Xing my life in all aspects.
Absolutely love it. Completely support that too. It's a great book, a book that everybody should get and read, but most importantly should do and live out. Right. In case you didn't know, the Vision Lab is we have a magical time machine. Okay, so
I'm getting nervous.
I'm going to ask the Tony Taveras of today, what advice would you be giving yourself from 5 years ago?
I would say to stay the course, continue to have those mentors in my life, stay humble, stay hungry, and stay relentless in your pursuit of growth in everything that you do. And as long as he did that, then he's going to be just fine.
Now we're going to make it a little bit more challenging for you. We're going to fast forward the clock 5 years forward. Okay? The older version of Tony, what advice is he giving you today? In 2021.
If you continue on the path that you're on and you don't allow distractions to derail you, you are destined to fulfill everything you want to accomplish in this life. And you're going to live an amazing and beautiful life.
So one of the things I love about doing this is that you're now on wax.
Yeah.
So in 5 years, you can go back and play the tape.
Yeah.
And hold yourself truly accountable.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot of times about becoming, the best versions of ourselves. It's July, what is this, 4th?
The 3rd?
July 3rd. And it's on wax.
Yeah, we're gonna look back. I'm gonna look at this 5 years from now, and I'm gonna be a world champion, and I'm gonna have a lot of different things going on in my life.
But it's always here. It's always here. So this leads into the very last question of the podcast. What's the long-term vision of one Tony Taveras?
The long-term vision is truly having internal peace and happiness, because it's not about all the material things.
Sure.
Right? So I've learned as I've gotten older, into my 30s now, maybe in my 20s it's more about, I have a great car, I have a Rolls Royce, those things don't really matter in the scheme of things. They can be taken away tomorrow. But as long as I have internal peace and happiness with my close loved ones, my girl, my kids, and there's a true bond there, then I'm happy. Life is good. All that other shit doesn't matter. As long as my immediate family loves each other, supports each other, as building great memories together, then that's life. What is life without great memories and moments with the ones you care about? Absolutely. That's what matters.
And I pulled up today at Astute Gentleman.
Shout out to Jeff for letting us work, man.
For sure. Barber and Cigar Lounge. And I saw a Rolls Royce in there, and I was like, I haven't seen that.
No lie. When I pulled up, because I got here like 2 minutes before you did, I asked Jeff, I said, hey, Jeff, do you know who's just sitting over here in the side of the parking lot with the lights on and this rolls? And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, just look out there.
That's your boy, man.
I had no idea because we know everybody who's here, so we just pull up and like there's just rolls sitting in the corner of the parking lot. Yeah. The lights are on, but like, okay, somebody plotting on us, like, what's going on?
Yeah, what's happening here?
Hey, come on now.
Yeah, but no, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you into the lab.
Yeah,
Tony.
This was awesome, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for making the time for us.
Absolutely. Want to congratulate you on your recent victory and many more victories to come. Remember, visionaries, each one of our guests that are coming into the lab are dropping nuggets of wisdom here on the Trail of Life. Ultimately, my friends, it's up to you to pick them up.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you again to our guest, Tony Taveras of Linear Roofing. Congratulations again on your recent championship. We look forward to many more. And this has been another great episode of the Vision Lab Podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
Blessings.